You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here on the day after Christmas. Where, Matt, I'm still filled with cheese and cookies and all that good stuff. I don't really know what day of the week it is. I'm being told it's Friday in the afternoon here, but that's just a best educated guess at this point.
So it's sad I have to set an alarm for this, but I do like to sleep in. But I'm on the air at 9 o'clock for 1 o'clock games for the pregame show with Tom Offerman.
Yes.
And I can't be 1 minute late, so I make sure I set an alarm, showered home,
That's not like we're going to record around 9.
No,
that's
right,
like at 9 o'clock,
yeah.
the light goes on, and you better be ready to talk.
Once in a while we get together and be like, I'll be there 2-ish, or whatever,
Yeah.
So anyway, last night I set my alarm to get up for the Steeler pregame show for today. It just felt like yesterday was like a Saturday, like Saturday games, and like, I don't have to get up tomorrow, I don't have to set the alarm.
From Christmas,
no idea.
From Christmas Eve to January 2nd, it's like nobody really knows what day it is or what time it is. But we have done our best. We've made it here for this show today.
I mean, all my family, they know what I do for a living, but not really. They're like, oh, you can take the day off tomorrow. I'm like, no, tomorrow's just a Friday of week 17. It means nothing once I figured out that it wasn't Steeler game day. But they don't care one bit. Like, you can get some time off. I'm like, no, you don't get some time off. What are you talking about? I did like 6 podcasts today.
Okay, so quick story for you that'll bring this full circle. Really cool thing that the moms, the wives in our neighborhood did yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've shared this with you before. Probably never said this on air, but long story short, 3 years ago, my wife and I bought a house.
Yeah.
And we hit the neighborhood lottery.
I know you like the people. Yeah.
We've got the coolest neighbors. We've got 5 or 6 different couples that are all our age.
That's a key. Yeah.
All have 2 or 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I have 2 kids. They all have 2 or 3 kids as well. We get along very well.
Okay.
In the summer times, it's
like the kids just go play.
The kids are riding bikes and playing, and we do bonfires, and the parents are hanging and sipping something cool out of their thermoses and all that. So we were very fortunate. We hit the neighborhood lottery. We've got a really cool neighborhood with a lot of couples our age and a lot of kids and stuff like that. The wives all had an idea. All the dads, so like 6 of us, got a gift yesterday on Christmas that said, take out into the street and open at 10 a.m.
Oh, wow, let's go.
So we're all like, what's going on? We all go outside. We see everybody else is what's going on.
What are you doing out here? Yeah.
And we rip them open, and they're Nerf guns.
Nice.
They're like Nerf machine guns.
Yeah, and Nerf guns have come a long way, right?
They have come. This thing holds, like 16 rounds, and it's like boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. And so we're all like constructing our Nerf guns and loading up the bullets, the little things, and it was just like for 15, 20 minutes, it was just chaos.
It would be a goof. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a really cool idea.
That is cool.
Really cool idea by the wives. Well, today one of the dads, Andrew, texted the group and was like, we running this thing back this afternoon? Like
every
what time?
10 o'clock, yeah.
And I was like, no, sorry guys, I have to work. And they were all like, what? Like, you got to work today?
They're like, nobody works. Going into the weekend, Christmas was yesterday. I hope everyone had awesome holidays.
Me as well, right. Certainly.
And I bet your girls loved it. That's what it's all about.
We had an awesome time. Best Christmas yet. And I have a feeling I'll be saying that for the next handful of years, which will be a lot of fun. But the NFL does not sleep, Matt.
No.
And we had
I just feel like I'm behind. And injury reports and things like that.
That's a very good way to put it. And I was in the same boat as you when I got in here a little bit before you, because I had a couple other T's to cross and I's to dot before we started the show.
All these playoff scenarios and who's in and who's out.
Who's in, who's out, injuries. And that's kind of where I started. I was like, we haven't done a show since Tuesday.
Right.
Wednesday and Thursday are big injury report days.
People are practicing and the train's rolling on.
So I figured that was kind of a good place to jump in and get our feet wet here on this Friday.
I want to hear about it, right.
What we know about the Steelers and what we know about the Browns. So Thursday, yesterday, Christmas. Obviously, Thursday, always a big practice day in the kind of, schedule of a normal week.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what Thursday's practice report looked like. Jalen Ramsey did not participate with an illness.
Okay.
Hopefully that's just a
Yeah. I mean, Thursday you got Sunday game day.
He's feeling a little under the weather. Give him extra time to rest. Hopefully it's not a longer, lingering thing that we've seen at times this year.
Or spread through the team. When I hear illness, I immediately think, like, who else is getting it? Or
Same here.
Something's going around.
Something's going around. You see him, there he is. There he goes. TV laughing as Matt's running with the joke today. Something's always going around this time of year. Good news, though, he's the only one listed with an illness. So hopefully something's not going around.
And they do isolate those guys. And trust me, the medicine in there, they get over the sniffles quicker than I do or you do.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Good news is that full participants Aaron Rodgers with that wrist.
Okay.
He's been full all week.
I guess you still have to list him. I mean, he's going to wear something. Yeah.
Still got to list him. And, we've been accustomed to this guy practicing. I think he's only missed 2 practices the entire year, I want to say.
I think you're right, yeah.
But still, Aaron Rodgers, full participant. Ben Skronik back to being a full participant with that hand issue.
That's important.
Which is important, absolutely.
He's going to see the field on offense, too, let alone being, special team or Pro Bowler.
100%. In the absence of DK Metcalf, everybody in that wide receiver room kind of moves up a weight class, if you will. And, we know how key he is to what the Steelers do on special teams. So good news for Ben Skronik. No practice yet this week for Calvin Austin III, still dealing with that hamstring injury.
That's why I was mentioning the Skronik thing, too, is you could have 2 receivers
beat
out.
Down your top your top 2 wide receivers. And Calvin Austin has not practiced yet this week with that hamstring injury that he sustained in Detroit. Jaylen Warren was a full participant on Thursday after being limited on Wednesday. Good news for him. That hip sounds like he's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, running backs take such a beating this time of year. I'm sure they could use just ease up on them in practice. Yes,
absolutely. James Pierre, he's been limited so far this week, both days with that calf injury. So I guess that's better than where he was at next week. Still not a full participant, but hopefully moving in the right direction. I got to imagine he'll probably be one of those true game time decisions for Sunday.
I would imagine. We haven't talked about the Browns a lot, and we don't have a ton of time to talk about them, but we also don't need to spend a ton of time breaking them down. But they're a heavy tight end, extra tight end usage guy if their tight ends are healthy. Which
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a minute.
But they don't want to put a lot of receivers on the field.
No, they do not. And then finally for the Steelers, in the limited capacity, I mentioned James Pierre there was limited, as was Nick Herbig with his hamstring, and Isaac Seumalo with the tricep injury.
We kind of knew those 3 were all going to be day-to-day. You weren't going to get definitive answers on a Thursday. And
they were all limited on Wednesday and limited on Thursday. Okay. So hopefully trending in the right direction. Just
they're out there.
A little bit of load management on Wednesday and Thursday, but they're out there and, hopefully ready if and when they will be called upon.
Okay.
Man, I think that's about it. I mean, a couple guys, like Cam Hayward got rest. I think it's important to note TJ Watt.
What about TJ Watt?
TJ Watt has been limited Wednesday and Thursday in practice.
But this is the first time he's been on the practice field.
Correct.
Since the incident.
Correct.
Yes.
And according to a lot of the, boots on the ground reporter journalist types that are down at practice this afternoon, he was limited but was down there light participant once again on Friday today.
Okay.
So we'll wait and see if we get the final who's in, who's out, who's questionable, who's doubtful, who's probable, all that stuff. But that's what we know.
Not a ton's changed really since Tuesday, since we talked about this.
Yeah, not a lot changed. I think
nothing's
we would have
worse or.
I think
we
all
better,
I'd feel a little more optimistic if Calvin Austin III was able to be limited in some capacity.
That one, I bet I'm just leaning towards. I don't think you're going to see him.
Other than that, I think it's a little mostly what we expected. Hopefully, everything's okay with Jalen Ramsey, and I think you're right.
I would think Roman Wilson gets a helmet.
Gotta be.
Skronik might get a little more involved. Miller's going to be out there a fair amount. More tight end usage. I mean, again, DK Metcalf's out.
And I know this is kind of a right turn here, but if you're Roman Wilson, this is a real opportunity.
I would think you get a helmet both games.
Not only is DK out, and it's like, okay, we need you to be active because we need a 5th guy, but if you're down DK, you're down Calvin Austin. It's not just, hey, Roman, you got a helmet and you might get a couple snaps.
You're probably the wide receiver 3 at the minimum.
You're going to have to jump on that moving train, and I think it's a real opportunity for like, hey, last couple weeks you didn't get a helmet, has been trending in the wrong direction, but all you got to do is go out there and make a couple plays, and it all of a sudden it does a 180 and it's back going your way.
Yeah.
He's got a real opportunity Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to put, I don't know, between 20 and 50 snaps on tape the next 2 weeks, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, so, okay, it's kind of a bigger conversation, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time. Like, if week 17 or 18 doesn't matter against the Ravens, I think you want to put Will Howard out there to evaluate.
Ooh.
I think you want to put Caleb Johnson out there to evaluate.
Totally.
Wilson's one of those guys. Like, we have some stuff invested in you. Your story's not written. Win or loss, Wilson's going to be out there. Those other two I mentioned aren't necessarily. And by no means did I ever want Warren or Gainwell to get hurt, but part of me kind of did, just so Johnson at some point this year could have got thrown into the fire. You're like you're all we got, or the one game both of them are out.
Sink or swim in the deep end.
You're getting the ball 25 times whether you like it or not. And maybe Wilson has some of that these 2 weeks, where you're going to be out there and running routes. If you're getting open, we're going to throw you the ball.
And like you said, for a guy whose story is far from written, sometimes in a weird way, that's the best way to get it turned around.
Yeah.
I'm in the deep end. I've got to swim.
I know that I'm not even assured a job here next year. Like, it's time to look in the mirror and be like, this isn't going quite how I want.
Exactly right. Matt, for the Browns here on their injury department, let's see. David Njoku, speaking of tight ends.
He's been out for a couple weeks.
Njoku has not practiced yet this week.
Okay. He's also a free agent after the year, and I don't know what the motivation for team or player is to get back on the field.
Njoku has not practiced yet this week. Brandon Bates has been limited so far this week. Braden Bates, pardon me, one of their other tight ends. And then they just picked up another injury, right? You and TV were saying just came across the timeline here.
A little bit ago said Fannin got hurt in practice. So it is now listed as questionable.
So three of their tight ends there.
He gets the ball a ton.
He gets the ball a lot.
Feature him like crazy.
He's been a kind of a focal point of that offense over the last month or so.
So I don't think people even need us to tell them at this point, because they also played the Browns recently. But to their credit, they're playing more rookie snaps than any team in the league. Their rookie class has some promising players.
Yeah.
But they've clearly made a youth movement, all year long. And Fannin's at the top of that. Judkins he's not in the mix. But even when Fannin and Njoku were both out there, they were scheming things up for Fannin even more than anybody else.
Yes, they were. Let's run through the rest of it here for Cleveland. Joel Bitonio, limited in practice. Tyson Campbell, limited in practice. Mason Graham, limited in practice.
They've had a lot of O-line injuries.
A lot of O-line and D-line injuries. Michael Hall, limited. Let's see here. Rashawn Jenkins, limited. Tevin Jenkins, limited. Sam Kamara, limited. Njoku did not practice. Winston Reed, limited. Dylan Sampson, limited. Shedeur Sanders was a full participant on Thursday after missing some time earlier in the week with that finger injury. Carson Schwessinger, limited. Wyatt Teller, limited. And Denzel Ward, limited.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everyone.
Right.
Almost, except for Shedeur. The entire report there was either did not practice or limited. Now, as you kind of mentioned too, how much of that is just we're focused on the future, we're shutting some guys down,
right?
Versus, real legitimate guys like Wyatt Teller and Denzel Ward and Mason Graham and Joel Bitonio. I mean, there's some real key contributors on that list for the Browns.
Yeah, and I think both the guards, Bitonio and Teller, are also free agents after the year. Remember how critical I was of the Browns of not drafting any offensive linemen, because I think 5 of their top 6 guys on the depth chart are free agents after the year. So I'm pretty sure those are two of the 4 or 5 that are up. Now, it's kind of like Njoku. I mean, if I were them, am I rushing back into this in this situation too? Not really, right? I'm pretty established,
Absolutely. The hay is in the barn in that regard for me. It's not, these last 2 games aren't going to affect my free agency market.
No,
but a big injury could.
Right.
So that's what we know about these teams' injury reports as we sit here right now. Again, I'm sure we'll have some more news that'll trickle out over the course.
There'll be guys rolled out in probably the next 24 hours.
Ruled out and more clarity on who's questionable and all those different things.
Schefter's likely to play.
Yes, exactly right.
Likely to play.
Exactly right. But that's kind of where we stand as we get caught up and all the latest from practice.
But obviously the Steelers situation's a little peculiar too, because if you've clinched, I'm not putting Pierre, Siamalu, and Herbig out there. I mean, if they're true 50-50 game time decisions, if I haven't clinched, I'm definitely putting them out there,
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And that got thrown into flux a little bit with the Lions' loss on Christmas yesterday.
Yeah.
Because the Packers have now, we'll get a little more into this when we do our Around the League segment.
Yeah.
But the Packers have now clinched a playoff spot.
Yes.
So how does that affect what they do Saturday night at home against the Ravens, who if the Ravens lose, the Steelers clinch a playoff spot?
It gets a little convoluted, yeah.
It is a little convoluted. But again, we've got the rest of the show to kind of bob and weave and figure those things out and discuss all of the latest. And we will continue to do that on the other side with our friend Missi Matthews, the Steelers sideline reporter, will join us on the other side to help paint the picture and help set the scene for Steelers and Browns this weekend in Cleveland. All that and more as we roll along. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, just getting started on the drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
Half a century after its birth, it may now be the single most iconic sports item ever created for the fan.
Myron Cope's terrible towel. That is part of the Steeler lore, no doubt about it.
And he told Myron, he says, I want you to come up with some kind of gimmick so we can promote stuff, on the air.
So I said to them, I'm not a gimmick guy. I've never been a gimmick guy. And they said to me, your contract comes up for renewal in a few months. And I said, well, let me see if I can think of a gimmick.
What I remember is that it came on so fast and so furious. There were no towels, and then there were towels everywhere.
First batch of towels sold out in 4 hours. And then they printed up another batch, and that one sold out in 2 hours.
Became part of the people and became part of the culture. And to be a Steeler fan, you had to have a terrible towel.
It is what they take with them into battle. It's their weapon, and they use it.
Woo! Look at all these terrible towels. Everybody got one. Look at it though.
And when it gets going, and that whole stadium is waving, it is something magical.
You still?
I'm Lynn Swan, and I'm going to tell you how the terrible towel came to be, what I did that helped our fans embrace it, and why the tradition has endured for 50 years.
Myron Cope was just synonymous with the Steelers.
The terrible towel is poised to strike, so are the Steelers.
The terrible towel and seeing that waved around the stadium still makes me think of him and the importance it has in the community.
Even from the very beginning, he always gave some of it to charity. And he never advertised that, ever. And then somewhere in the 80s, it became half. In 1996, he decided to donate all of it.
I don't even know how to begin to frame how thankful and grateful we are that we can continue our mission because of donations like we get from the terrible towel.
This is a Steelers story, the terrible towel.
You hear the bounce, you know what time it is. It's time to talk to Steelers sideline reporter, queen of the sideline, Missi Matthews. Joins us now as she's kind enough to do just about every single Friday here on the program. Missi, thank you for taking the time around the holidays and everything. Hope you had a great Christmas with the family. As we get ready to gear up for this trip to Cleveland here, I want to just take a look back with you first and what was one of the wildest endings that we've seen in a long time, maybe in history, between the Steelers and the Lions at Ford Field last Sunday. What was it like being down there on the field? What was the scene like, the atmosphere like in that kind of final sequence and the long review by the refs and the confusing call by the refs, and it all ends with the Steelers being victorious? I imagine it was a wild one down there on the field.
Yeah, to say the least, I think everyone was confused, players, coaches, fans, all of the above. And what I have learned over the years is to always just stay with Coach Tomlin and watch him, because obviously he can talk to refs. He can talk to side judges. He can hear what's going on. And probably a good 45 seconds before they even decided they were going to make the announcement, which, again, was confusing. Coach Tomlin whipped off his headset and started cheering, and I was like, okay, wait, but nothing else is happening. No one else is doing it. But he was clearly talking to somebody, and he said that it was, he heard them say OPI. So he knew, being on the competition committee and being a head coach, that exactly what that meant, that there wasn't going to be another down, there wasn't going to be time added back, that OPI, it didn't matter what happened after that was called, basically. Right. And I think that is kind of the crazy thing, that they still ruled it a touchdown, even though it wasn't a touchdown, and they said that. And then they're like, oh, yeah, but by the way, there was OPI. So, the game's over. And it took a second, I think, for everybody to kind of look around and realize what happened. And I was looking for Cam Hayward afterwards to interview him, and that's when, the water bottles and some other things started flying onto the field, and I thought, I'm just going to keep my head on a swivel right now. So, understandably, Lions fans not happy with that call.
That's actually what I was going to bring up, was how was the reaction from the Lions fans? Was it pretty over the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went 0 to 100 real quick. It was crazy how fast, because you hear him say, all right, the ruling on the field is a touchdown. Pause. However, and then, you go from cheering to booing and, like I said, throwing some things onto the field to let everybody know how unhappy they were. And it's crazy to think that that was just a week ago, and then you watch their game last night and you're just like, man, good thing the Steelers won that game. That meant something, and just the way that they finished their season too. So this is why the last few weeks of the regular season are always, high value entertainment, no matter who's playing and when they're playing and where they're playing.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, Missy, 365 days ago, it was a lot of high value games for the Steelers that went the wrong way. Now, three game win streak, it feels like the shoe is on the complete opposite foot. It feels like they are getting hot. They are playing their best football at the right time, as opposed to last year where they were 10-3 at one point and then kind of shrank down the stretch. Is that something you feel too? Like, is there a real belief? And, Matt and I always laugh, like every week when we talk to you, it somehow gets to Aaron Rodgers pretty quickly.
Right.
But I got to imagine, like, we see the NFL Films clip and all the stuff with him and Kenneth Gainwell on the sideline and how much those guys rally around him. And now you're winning 3 games in a row in the process against, in Baltimore, a really hot Miami team on Monday Night Football, and then in a place like Detroit against that offense. Can you feel that energy, that momentum, that belief coming alive here at the right time? And, again, which was clearly not the case 12 months ago.
Yeah, and I think it's a polar opposite of last year where you lost 5 straight. You went into Baltimore licking your wounds like, okay, we punched our ticket, but this doesn't feel right. Whereas this year you went through the ups and downs, the adversity, as Coach likes to call it, in the middle of this season, and then you start getting onto this hot streak. And I think Aaron put it best when he spoke this week. He turns into Benjamin Button, and he's like, I thrive in cold weather games. I thrive at the end of the season. And for whatever reason, that part of my game has stuck, and it makes everybody slightly slower, and I stay the same. I'm not faster, but he just said I stay the same while other people are slightly slower. And I just think that's a great way to put it, and I agree, even without seeing the NFL clips, since he was mic'd up, Coach Tomlin was mic'd up for the Lions game, you just see those interactions all the time, and there's no secret that this offense and entire team are rallying around him and following his lead. This is a guy who clearly knows what he's doing. I forget how many playoff wins he has exactly, but there was a graphic that showed all the other quarterbacks in the AFC that are potentially, could make the playoffs, and all of them combined were still less than Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, wow.
And, some of them aren't even going to make it.
So, yeah, Nix and Lawrence. And, yeah.
So,
May.
Right. So follow the leader, right? And follow the guy who's been there. He has not been bashful about why he came here. I think he has led by example. I think he also hasn't overstepped, as stupid as it might sound. I think Cam is very superstitious, and he has to be the one that calls heads or tails and, talks during that point for the coin toss, which he was a little wrong in Detroit, which I didn't find out till after the game, which was kind of funny. But, that's something I'm sure Aaron typically has done his entire career, but that was Cam's thing, and he kind of just says, okay, yeah, go ahead, Cam, do it. Who cares?
That's great. Two-parter. So how much do you think the Ravens-Packers results influences playing time on Sunday? And part two is Steelers beat the Browns. Everything's locked up. Do you think they go heavy on rest in Week 18?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard with the Packers and the Ravens game because it's not until 8 o'clock. So if they need to make any practice squad call-ups, those types of things, it's done at 4 p.m. It's not like you can just predict what's going to happen in that game. I don't think anybody predicted the Lions were going to play that way last night. So you can't really make adjustments in terms of that for Cleveland. Now,
you can't change the game plan really at all.
Yeah, right. And I do think even Aaron said he's never been in that situation where he hasn't played when it's like that. Now, I think Week 18, if we know, the Steelers win in Cleveland and or both things happened correctly for Saturday night as well, yeah, you're probably going to let Mason Rudolph and maybe even Will Howard see the field. Why would you let Aaron Rodgers go out there for no reason when you know that he is a major part of why you're making the playoffs, and you want him to be a major part of why you win a playoff game and then hopefully win another one and see how far you can ride this wave. So I do think, and probably just because it is the end of the season, how there's the bumps and bruises associated with play that Coach always talks about, but that's real at this time of the year. The injury list gets longer every week, and it's not that it's, because guys aren't going to play. It's because they actually need practice time off just to heal their body. So I do think that if hopefully everything, knock on wood, goes the Steelers' way, Week 18 we'll definitely see some of those starters get the day off and get to just watch from the sideline.
Missy, last one for you. The Steelers have lost their last 3 games there by the lake. In what seemingly is all different kind of fashion, right? There's been Jacoby Brissett, and there's been DTR, and there's been snow globe games, and it's been on Thursdays, and it's been on Sundays, but the Steelers have just not had much luck in that building as of late. 2021, actually, I believe, was the last time the Steelers won in Cleveland, if I'm remembering correctly.
Ben wouldn't lose there. That used to be his home field.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. Ben's second home there, and it's not Steelers Ravens. It's not even some of the the teams that Cincinnati has had. These have all been Cleveland teams that have mostly kind of went splat and been a thud at the end of the year. But there's always some crazy circumstances around it, whether it's quarterbacks, whether it's weather. Whatever the case.
A lot of short weeks on the road.
On the road, which doesn't help. And I realize for the Steelers, there's some weird stuff going on now. They could be down their top 2 wide receivers. Cleveland is kind of shuffling through quarterbacks. Does this feel like the year that the Steelers kind of snatched the chain back from the Browns there at the dog pound? Or is there, you've been on the sideline for a lot of these, is there's just something weird that happens in Cleveland when the Steelers and the Browns get together?
I feel like they're going to be okay, partially because I had just saw that in practice, the rookie tight end, Njoku's already been ruled out, got hurt and is dealing with a groin injury, and Shedeur Sanders loves him. And for a rookie quarterback, it makes sense to love a tight end, but if he's not there and Njoku's not playing, it starts limiting some of your first and second reads or people that you feel comfortable being on the same page with you. I do think the dog pound will be out in full force, as they always are. I think, even despite their record, people might not realize just how fierce that fan base is. And I think knowing that Myles Garrett could potentially break the all-time sack record against the Steelers, that's that's an extra Christmas bonus to Browns fans if it happens and they're there for it. And it's against TJ Watt's team, because we know there's, that whole thing going on. But I do think, 2 of those losses were on Thursday nights, and the Steelers are 0-6 on Thursday nights on the road against AFC North. I think if you take those out of the equation, not that they didn't happen, it doesn't seem as bad. But agree, they just need to right the ship in terms of having that kind of streak in Cleveland, specifically against a team that, usually is finishing with a losing record.
Missy, we were about to let you go, but I have one more thing. How conscious do you think the Steelers are of the Myles Garrett, record situation? Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think they're very aware of it. Coach Tomlin told us on his show that will air on KDK tonight, you never want to be on the wrong side of that record.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to be the team that he broke it against. You know, I still remember when James Harrison broke the Steelers single season record. Guess what? It was in Cleveland. It was against the Browns.
Huh.
I remember how tight that locker room was afterwards as everybody was, you know, around him to talk to him about it. Guess what? TJ passed Debo against the Browns. You know, those are things you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for
I'm
the
sure
Steelers,
there's nothing the
you don't
Browns
wanna...
or Garrett would like better.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Literally last week I was watching their game against the Bills. Like, if you're going to do it, just do it today. Just do it today.
Yeah.
Then we don't even have to talk about it. But it was almost as if fate had it where he only got half a sack, which I think was questionable. But you know how sometimes that goes with the home statisticians. We saw that when we were in Baltimore and they took that sack away from TJ and he would have passed Strahan. Not that I'm bitter about any of this or, you know, remember exact details. But to say the least, I'm not so sure that was a half sack that he should have got. But it is what it is.
Yep.
Well, let's make them wait till week 18 to bust out the champagne there for Myles Garrett. Great stuff as always with our friend and the queen of the sideline, Missi Matthews. Missy, thank you for taking the time, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thank you.
There she goes, Missi Matthews. I think from a hockey rink somewhere in Western Pennsylvania with her sons. It sounded like you hear some screaming occasionally and whistles blowing there.
You
in
spent
the
a lot of
background.
time doing those things, huh?
Just a few.
Yeah.
Just a few. But great stuff from Missy. Thanks to her for taking the I should have known. Like, I texted her this morning. I was like, hey, Missy, you know, Matt and I are still having a show today. Like, if you could join us, we'd love to have you.
Mm-hmm.
If you got plans, no sweat, please don't, do anything for us. And she was like, oh, no problem. I got time. I got time for you guys. So big thanks to Missy.
Super
as
quick,
always.
you mentioned you'll see her tomorrow. You guys will bust. I just want to make sure. I'm
Yes.
sure that's the only one that the Steelers drive to.
That is the only one that the Steelers drive to.
Do you leave at different times than usual, or
I guess maybe unless you count Friday Night Lights, but that's an inter-squad scrimmage. That's not a game.
No.
So there's buses that leave. The buses leave from the south side, and then they stop in Cranberry. And then
what do you pick up in Cranberry?
Just people that live in the North Hills that don't want to.
Okay.
It's almost like a two-stop destination thing.
That's cool.
If that makes sense.
And what time do you guys take off? And I mean,
it's about the same time in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it police escorted the whole way?
I don't think the whole way.
Okay.
Tyler's shaking his head. You'll laugh. This is actually the first time. This is my 4th year traveling.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time I've ever taken the team buses to Cleveland.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because 2 of the games have been Thursday night games.
Mm-hmm.
So myself and our producer, Dan Quinlan, would just drive up after the game because it's a Thursday night game.
There's no reason to spend
Why go
Wednesday
out
right?
Wednesday and be there for so long? It's a 2-hour drive, easy. And then the one game that's been a Sunday 1:00 game since I started, I actually had a buddy that got married in Cleveland that Saturday, funny enough. And
I know that's
ironically enough. And so my wife and I drove up Saturday and went to the wedding, and I stayed in the hotel with her. And then Sunday, I went to work the game, and she drove home. And then
you team busted home.
And then I team busted home. But
Gotcha.
I've never gone out on the team buses. And I know on the way home, you get a police escort to a certain extent. And then
I wouldn't think you'd need them all the way down the highways. Or,
But I think it'll be one of those things, and TV could give me a yes or no here. But I think once we get to a certain point in Cleveland in the city limits, there'll be a police escort waiting to
I'm sure,
take us to the hotel and unload it and all that stuff. But this is for 4 years, there's not much on the road that I haven't done at this point. But taking the buses to Cleveland, this will be a first time for me. So I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to it.
That sounds fun.
Weather doesn't look terrible, and I've got an old buddy from high school that married a girl from Cleveland, like I was just saying, and so I'm actually going to get to have dinner with them tomorrow night. Haven't seen them in a couple years, so that'll be nice, and hopefully the weather will hold off, and I'll be getting home Sunday evening with a win over the Browns.
Division championship.
Hat and T-shirt.
Yeah.
And no record for Myles Garrett. That would be the perfect scenario. Let's start getting into a little Browns and Steelers when we return on the other side. A little bit more, I should say. We'll take a look at some of Matt's stats as we start to tee up this matchup between two old AFC North foes. When we return on the other side, it's The Drive. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Let's talk some numbers, some analytics, some stats behind Steelers and Browns, of course, with Matt's weekly stats packet. Probably up on Steelers.com by now.
Oh, yeah. I actually turned in a little early this week. Wednesday morning I turned in. Usually I do Wednesday night, and they had it up immediately. People were working on Christmas Eve.
I was going to say, you getting on the nice list, huh? Making sure you're not on the naughty list there, turning in your stats packet late. Matt, like last week, you and I, ahead of that Lions game, talked about how you're going to need to score some points to win this.
Yeah.
And they did.
And they did, right.
This week, I think it might be the opposite.
I feel very much the same way.
I'm thinking it's one of those old school, like first to 17, first to 20 is going to have a really good chance to win this game.
Yeah.
Which
is really a Browns thing across the board. One side of the ball is good, the other side isn't.
It's very much a Browns thing, and I think compiled by the fact that both of these teams are dealing with some significant absences.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. If this Fannin news is huge. Judkins and Fannin are the two who get the ball. Judkins is out for the year.
Judkins is out for the year.
Yeah, got hurt last week.
Yeah.
Fannin got hurt today. Who knows what happens there? Shador, we could have to do a whole segment on Shador if you want, but I mean, I'm not super impressed, and he needs all the help he can get. There's a lot of line injuries. But the defense, all in all, is pretty much still intact. I mean, I'm sure there's some guys in a meaningless game that might not play, but it's pretty fierce. They play a lot of man coverage. They play a lot of single high,
They've got a talented defense, one that's frustrated a lot of talented offenses this year. And, yeah, despite the uptick in form from the Steelers offense over these past 3 weeks, I think on the road against that defense, down DK we know for sure,
right.
And what's looking like Calvin Austin as well. Run the ball, keep it close to the vest, don't turn the ball over, let them be the ones that make the mistakes.
You'd hope. Right.
Win a closer, low-scoring game, albeit one where you're in control for 60 minutes, but you never run away. You don't.
Yeah, I don't think they'll blow their doors
You don't beat them
off
28-7 or 31-10 type result.
Now, Sanders does turn the ball over a lot lately, and he will hold the ball a lot. So if the Steelers do win heavy on the scoreboard, I bet the defense had something to do with it. I'm talking about like a pick six or just so many turnovers in their own end or something like that.
Yeah.
That could be in the cards too.
Yeah. A couple things here that are kind of leading to that thought process from your stat packet. The first, Steelers 6-yard average depth of target, lowest in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, second lowest, 6.7 yards.
Yes. And they've had several different quarterbacks, but it's still the same way that they play.
Neither one of these teams really trying to stretch the field. A lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage, a lot of stuff short of the sticks.
Yeah.
A lot of methodical pass game. Now, I do think
high percentages after the catch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think we've seen the Steelers expand that a little bit, particularly last week in Detroit.
I say that I'm open to the idea that things are changing with the Steelers a little bit lately.
But I wonder if this
also
week
Metcalf is part of that too.
Yes, and knowing you need to score points as opposed to against a Browns team, and
your average depth of target against the Lions as opposed to the Browns could be very different. Even though both play a ton of man coverage, the Lions give up a ton of explosives. Browns defense is scary. Pass rush is better. You don't have to keep up with Goff and St. Brown and all those guys too. So I would think you game plan it differently.
Yes, that's exactly right. As you and I, the analogy we use a lot. If you had red paint last week against the Lions, maybe it's green paint this week against the Browns. Steelers have generated over 67% of their passing yards after the catch, highest in the league.
Very high, yeah.
Cleveland's second at about 57%.
Mm-hmm.
So both of these teams, a lot of not necessarily stretching the field, shorter stuff, having guys, make Jalen Warren making somebody miss at the line of scrimmage, DK Metcalf making somebody miss at the line of scrimmage, Fannin making somebody miss, a few yards past the line of scrimmage. And what's that look like this week?
Now, I will say some of these stats, because they've had three basic quarterbacks, get a little skewed because, we remember Flacco, especially as a Bengal. The ball came out really, really quick at his age, like a Rivers, like a Rodgers. That's kind of an old quarterback thing. Gabriel is one of the guys that is lower time to throw than Rodgers all year. So of the three, Sanders definitely holds the ball longer, trying to develop plays, but some of it's just because he doesn't feel the rush well, and it's not necessarily a good thing with him holding the ball. So that's stat's a smidge misleading because it's a season-long stat in terms of the get it out and the after the catch stuff. But they definitely do a good job and are big on scheming up Fannin in space. He's a good after the catch guy for sure. I don't look at their receivers as being particularly great after the catch. The wideouts, the tight ends are, but I don't know who's going to play out of the tight end. It's a hard game to analyze, to be honest with you.
It's a very hard game to analyze. I think in general, just because the time of the year and what it means for both teams.
Yeah.
But then when you combine
week
again,
17 and 18 are always tough. I mean, analyzing yesterday's games were hard, but now there's some balls in the air too. The Steelers need it or not, or
right? And a ton of injuries for both teams, especially on the offensive side of things for Cleveland. And so that's again, thinking that this is going to be a lower scoring, closer to the vest, don't blink type game.
That's definitely the way I'm leaning. And I know it's not supposed to be bad weather, but there's going to be something.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it's still 48 hours away from now. Like something's going to, it says 46 degrees and cloudy.
Okay. But it's not going to be like playing in Pasadena.
No, it's not. But I also, if it's actually 46 degrees and calm and just a little overcast, I'll be surprised.
I bet it won't.
Because that's just,
just
a lot can change in
happens
48 hours in the weather in Cleveland. You know,
it might kick off like that, and by halftime, there's something crazy going on.
Exactly right. And it's supposed to rain all day Saturday in Cleveland. It looks like now, if I'm looking at it here. So maybe it's a slower track. Maybe some of that stuff carries over. Who knows? But yeah, the weather there at Huntington Bank Field this time of year always.
It's a factor.
Unpredictable.
Yeah,
and it's a factor.
Right.
It's always a factor. Even if it's just wind, something like that, it's always a factor.
It affects a kicking game at a minimum, or deep passing, or whatever.
Absolutely. And speaking of passing, here's some good news for the Steelers, and here's something that I think you and I have highlighted over the last couple weeks, how quietly effective we think Joey Porter Jr. has been.
Oh, I know.
And how he hasn't gotten much of the credit. Or maybe as much credit as he's deserved of really settling in and really since around the Halloween time frame being one of the better cornerbacks in the National Football League. Joey Porter Jr. has played 1,417 consecutive snaps in coverage without allowing a touchdown, the longest active streak amongst cornerbacks, more than twice as long as the next closest streak.
Crazy.
His last allowed touchdown in coverage was Week 8 of 2023. He's made a play on the ball 22.2% of his targets in coverage this season. That's the third highest rate among quarterbacks, that have played so many snaps, have had so many targets.
Right.
And he has allowed just a 52.4 completion percentage rate when targeted, ninth lowest in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Matt, really ever since... Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Those are elite numbers. Those are all-pro type statistics and numbers
they
there.
Are.
And himself and that entire defense, let's just be honest. They had a bad day. They had a rough day at the office that Thursday night in Cincinnati against Flacco, Chase, and Higgins.
Brutal.
But since then...
It really has been since then.
He has been. I mean,
some of it's Ramsey moving to safety, and you can point to that too.
They've much improved, but I think he's been at the forefront of that conversation. He is, and again, we've mentioned this a couple times, but when you have two stats like that, the consecutive snap streak in coverage without allowing a touchdown, and then the ninth lowest completion percentage when targeted in the NFL this year.
I like the second one even better. The first one stands out, but I mean the second one to me is more important.
And they've done that here playing some really good wide receivers and really good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In these
he's got easy assignments.
Exactly
since
right.
2023.
This week he might have an easy assignment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for the most part, they've played a lot of talented wide receivers, a lot of talented quarterbacks. And man, he has been quietly, but I think people now are starting to pick up on it, just how effective he's been.
So you may have noticed, but when I do like the stat pack stuff, I never put coverage stats in there.
This one stood out a little bit because...
And I didn't even put it in the packet, but I did tweet it.
You tweeted it out,
pasted it. The reason I don't is I don't trust the people figuring it out because you don't know the coverage assignments every time.
Sure.
Like maybe his guy did catch a touchdown and he just blew an assignment, was covering the wrong dude.
But whoever was grading it thought that was on the safety.
Could be, right. Yeah. But the defense coordinator might be like, Joey blew
it was
one.
Joey's guy, yeah.
But even if they're slightly off, they still blow you away in terms of their potency. I mean, they're crazy. And where I got it from was if you go to NFL.com, I mean, this is straight from the league, and you go to their premium, and you can click on every game, and they have a little section called Insights, before the game, where it's like, here's some cool next-gen stats previewing this game. And I just cut and pasted it from there, So, I mean, this is straight from the league. This is the official scorers. This isn't, some service that's trying to make a name for themselves or anything like that.
Correct.
Of course. Now, I cut and pasted, and as you can imagine, it got a lot of traction on Twitter. But it also got a million people asking, well, now do the penalties.
Yep.
Yeah. And somebody did it for me where they're really not that bad lately.
No.
I mean, it's
fact, the
kind
opposite.
of a misconception. Yeah. Or now and they're like, give me the missed tackles. I'm like, that's gotten a lot better too. I mean, I think he'd even tell you his rookie year, he wasn't a very good tackler. And he does have some games here and there where they're not great, but he's way better in terms of penalties and tackling than he's ever been.
2 penalties in his last 7 games.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been targeted 20 times, 7 completions, no touchdowns, 50.6 QB rating, 2 penalties.
Pretty good.
Matt, you're absolutely right. You talk about Joey Porter Jr., you tweet about Joey Porter Jr., whatever the case is, and you immediately get some people, talk about the penalties. Yeah, what about all the penalties?
Yeah.
And up until October of this year,
he was the most penalized defensive player in the league last year.
That was number 1. I'm not going to act like those people are speaking gibberish.
No, right.
But that has changed. That narrative is no longer
true.
true.
Would say you're allowed to get better.
You're allowed to get better.
Right. Doesn't mean you're going to be the most penalized guy your whole career.
Matt, it's like, the batter the baseball player that steps into the league as a power hitter and can only smack fastballs over the fence but can't hit a curveball. Well, by year 3, he can slap that curveball into left field for a single.
Or he's not still in the league.
Or he's not
back
still
in the
in
minors.
the league.
Right.
Exactly right. Or he's certainly not hitting, third in the lineup or whatever.
And one thing we've talked about for years with Porter too is if you look at the most penalized corners in the league, it's the best dudes too. I mean, it's also like, this is a side note, but it always made me crazy. Like, boy, but he led the league in drops. You know who usually leads the league in drops? It was like Wes Welker, who had like 4 million targets from me to you with Ray Lewis trying to blow him into next week. He has a couple more drops than the dudes that don't get the ball. Like the corners that are on the field all the time, often against the top receivers without a ton of help, are going to get more penalties than the other dudes. It's just the way it goes.
That
goes with the territory.
That narrative is gone, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Like the whole Joey Porter Jr. was only drafted so high because his dad and because he's from here and because he went to Penn State and all he does is take penalties and if he was anybody else, he'd be gone or he'd be benched. At times in the past, I'm not even saying you were completely right.
Some of that was true.
Some of that
right?
was valid. It's not anymore.
No, it's not at all.
Any team in the league right now would love to have. I mean, I don't know. The Houston Texans have 3 really good corners. Maybe there's a couple exceptions, but every team in the league right now would take Joey Porter Jr.
There's a conversation. We didn't spend much time on it because it's been such a condensed week, but he's kind of a Pro Bowl snub.
I think he is.
He is. Cam Hayward's the one I've been thinking about since. I can't believe he was snubbed. But anyway, Pro Bowl's kind of dumb.
Sure.
But anyways, he has a case to be like, I'm one of the best in the AFC.
Yes.
And trust me, folks, when his contract rolls around, which is soon, that's going to reflect it.
Yes, it is.
Money talks.
And he's not going to get paid just because of who his dad is or because of where he went to college or because he grew up in Wexford. He has been unbelievable this back half of the season, and some people are starting to catch up, but some people still think he just takes a bunch of penalties and he gets burned all the time.
Crazy.
It's just not the case.
Attention.
Not the case at all. Hour in the books, another hour to go. 5-Star Friday. We'll get into some matchups, some more match stats. In hour number 2, we'll go around the league and preview Week 17. All of that and more as we roll along. Uhler, Williamson. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
We're humbled and excited to be in these 5-star matchups.
5-star matchup. Somebody leaving here with a loss. Not going to be us.
Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2 here of The Drive on the day after Christmas on a Friday as we get ready for Week 17 across the National Football League. Matt, we got to talk some matchups. We got to talk some more of your stats. And you know what I did before I asked you a couple specific matchup questions, I wanted to ask you this. From your stats packet, there's always some good stuff about time of possession in here, right?
Yeah.
Both of these teams did a really good job of possessing the ball last week.
Yes. So it's trending better at least.
Both of these teams have kind of struggled in that department overall this season. Browns sitting at an average of 29 minutes and 37 seconds.
So
Steelers
slightly below average.
Slightly below
exactly 30.
Average would be exactly 30. Yes. Steelers at 27.53, which is 31st out of 32 teams in the NFL.
Getting out of the cellar though.
Only ahead of the Raiders, climbing up one rung at a time. In a game, hey, crazier things can happen. But in a game that we anticipate playing out a little closer to the vest, a little lower scoring, how important is that total offensive play snaps, total time of possession, all that stuff in this one Sunday?
I think it's always important, but maybe a little more so in this one if it's going to be whoever runs the ball better, that type of thing. Hard to say just because they're really low on running backs too. Like their best 3 running backs might not play. Sampson, you mentioned on the practice report, is still up in the air. Ford's on IR. Judkins is done. The guys that finished the game last week, I really didn't know who they were, So it's going to be tough on them unless the Steeler run defense is really poor, especially with a bunch of backup linemen. But you know how much I harp on it, so I hesitate to even go down this road. I don't think if the Steelers lose time possession that they can't win this game.
Sure.
By no means.
Sure.
Even without Metcalf and some explosive abilities,
I think you're spot on there. Because again, you wouldn't be worried that, Cleveland, if we let them possess the ball for 35 minutes, 37 minutes, they're going to grind us down. They're going to wear us down.
A ton of points or they're running down your throat late in the fourth quarter necessarily.
Yes.
And frankly, sometimes, if the Steelers win the turnover battle 4-0, well, maybe they have some short field, short possessions. You gain points, but you hand them the football back or, So important, yes. Controlling the game's more important, and time of possession's often a direct reflection of that. But I don't think it's a must this week.
Both of these teams pretty good at getting after the quarterback.
Yeah.
Cleveland tied for second in sacks per game this year in the NFL, an average of 3.3 per game. Steelers are fourth with an average of 2.9 per game. Steelers plus 14 in the sack differential department. Cleveland plus 6. Matt, we know that talented Browns defense that has some some really nice pieces, but we know the straw that stirs the drink where the conversation begins is Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
It appears that Dylan Cook is going to be tasked with
I would imagine.
Anchoring the left side of that Steelers offensive line once again. He's done a very good job of that these last couple weeks. And he's played some talented pass rushers they
haven't been slouches.
They haven't been slouches. Certainly the one last week in Detroit. But this is kind of the guy on top of the mountain in that regard.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett, who
needs to be Defensive Player of the Year,
is going to be Defensive Player of the Year, and with another half sack or full sack, will pass Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt for the NFL's single season sack record. Something that we mentioned briefly with Missi Matthews in the first hour of the show.
He's also good versus the run and has a bunch of tackles for loss and quarterback hits. And he's a really good player.
Everybody gets help in the NFL on the offensive line. I don't know if you heard this on Tuesday's press conference, but I thought it was pretty funny. I was laughing. Mike Tomlin was like, I watched the Niners and Trent Williams last night, and he was getting help, and he's one of the best left tackles I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he looks great even at his age still. It's not like he's an old man just on his last legs, by the way.
Him and Kittle and Juszczyk, some of the stuff that they do in the run game is just
that team's humming.
Just insane. But even Mike Tomlin's point was, because he was asked about slowing down Myles Garrett, you give help to that side. He was like, well, look, everybody gets help in the National Football League.
Oh, yeah.
One of the, I was watching the Niners last night, and one of the best tackles, one of the best offensive linemen I've ever seen is getting help.
Yeah.
But what does this week look like for Dylan Cook, specifically against Myles Garrett? How do the tight ends factor into that? How does Aaron Rodgers factor into that? From a matchup standpoint, what are you doing to highlight, to limit, to try and mitigate Myles Garrett and all the game-wrecking ability that he has?
Yeah, and he's going to make plays.
He absolutely.
Absolutely is.
Everybody on every team that they've played this year on Bills Nation Radio and Ravens Nation Radio, they've had these same conversations.
Yeah, that's 1,000% true. So, a couple things. I was asked in a mailbag podcast I did the other day, what about Dylan Cook? Could he be the long-term starter here? Blah, 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 blah. And That's a conversation you and I might have after this game or in the offseason.
Testament to him that people are asking
mix
that right
in where
now.
Broderick Jones is.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's only been a game and a half. Could he get destroyed in this game by Garrett? For sure. That could happen.
Yeah.
You know, even if, you know, with help. I mean, Garrett's that type of player. Now, I don't think this is going to be the only bullet point for the Cook discussion, because this is just going to be the most difficult one. And he's done really, really well, and I'm super excited about him. And maybe he can't be a starter, but he's definitely going to be part of the equation going forward. But especially without Metcalf, I know the Steelers don't play much 11 anyway, but I would think Anderson, or a sixth though lineman, depending on the Siamalu Anderson Pete dynamic, is more relevant this week than ever.
Agreed.
Now they do move Garrett around, but less than they have. He's almost always going to go, or if history shows, he's going to spend a lot of time going against the left tackle. You know, it's just how this year's gone for them. I don't know why. But I would think it's a heavy Washington game too. I mean, I probably want one of those guys on his side every snap.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to double him in the run game too.
You absolutely do.
Even when you run away from him, he makes plays.
And you're right. In the past, we've seen him line up all over the place. Hasn't done as much of that this year. And so I wouldn't think.
Capable.
He's certainly capable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that that's like something that they've been waiting to unleash, though, week 17 and really confuse the Steelers and that type of thing.
They're probably looking at Cook like that's the matchup we want.
That too.
Yeah, right.
A lot of times, like when you've seen Myles Garrett do that in the past, Chris Jones, another guy who you see do that all the time, it's like, I want the right guard.
Yeah,
this guy's got nothing. You guys can line up wherever you want. I'm going right here against this guy.
Yeah.
And we have seen some of that from Myles in the past, but not as much
and they'll
recently.
twist him and stun him. It doesn't mean the left tackle's always going to block him.
Yes.
But right.
That to me is going to be very interesting because you've got to do your best to limit and mitigate him, but you also have to respect the rest of that defense, the other 10.
Yeah,
who are very capable.
There's a bullet point in my stats there with showing his percentage of their sacks and their quarterback hits and stuff like that, and it's a high percentage, but that makes it sound like all the other defensive linemen for the Browns are just hanging off his coattails, and it's not true. I mean, like any great player, Josh Allen or whatever, you have huge ramifications for those around you in a positive way.
Absolutely.
Of course. But if Garrett were to miss this game, they'd still have a good pass rush. You know, a good pass rush.
And they'd still be a good defense without him.
Yes.
They wouldn't be a great one, but they'd be a good one.
You know what no one wants to hear?
Uh-oh.
Bush is a good player now.
Yeah.
Like a good player. Not like, boy, he's hanging on. Like he's been one of the top 30 linebackers in the league this year. I mean, like, he'd be a starter just about anywhere. Like, it blows me away.
Okay, so we didn't do the pick a player off the other team and add him to the Steelers this week for a couple reasons. One, we had didn't have a Wednesday show, which is when we typically do that. Two, we already did that exercise earlier this year for Cleveland.
And it's Myles Garrett times 1,000.
And it's an obvious answer.
Right, yeah.
But if we did it, because normally we have the caveat of you can't take a quarterback. Because for so many opponents, that's too easy. That's a cheat. If we did that with the caveat of you can't take Myles Garrett, the answer might be Devin Bush. I mean, and
I would take Schwessinger, who's next to him, actually.
That's a good
I think he's going to be...
fine, fair point. Because he's younger and cheaper and higher ceiling.
How many wins do the Browns have? 2?
3?
3?
I think they're 3, I believe.
They're going to have the Defensive Player of the Year and
Defensive
maybe the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. I think I know I said this going into the first time these teams played. But since their defensive coordinator has been there, so this will be his 3rd season, I think, as a defensive coordinator. From that point, when he got hired till now, they're number 1, Jim Schwartz.
Yep.
They're number 1 in defensive EPA from that whole stretch.
Since he was hired.
Since the day he was hired till this second. But they're last in offensive EPA from the second he got hired till now. Like, you talk about being frustrated. Like, this D has been the best in the league, really, over the best 3 years, and they play with the worst. I'm talking about 1-32 here.
Like, if we were just average on offense,
right,
we'd go to the playoffs.
Okay.
We'd go to the playoffs.
Right, yeah, like, I mean, I've made the jokes those weeks going, like, I'd love to have a beer with Garrett and Schwartz and be like, so what's it like?
So tell me what you really think on a week-to-week basis.
Give me something. Yeah, give me something to work with.
We got to hold
here.
these guys to 10 points if we want to have a chance of winning. Matt, one thing they do very well with that Browns defense is limiting your pass game. They allow the second fewest passing yards per game, just about 185 per game. That to me I'm very interested to see what that looks like this week, because it feels like the Steelers offense has really grown by leaps and bounds in the pass game the last few weeks. But you're not going to have DK. You're in all likelihood not going to have Calvin Austin, and you're facing a defense that is very good against the pass game.
That's the thing, is if this game is 9-7 or field goal fest, and you get a bad bounce or whatever, it's losable.
It's definitely. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you start looking at the Browns' offense. There's really very little to be excited about or to fear. Don't get me wrong, but we just saw a Wulikon play against the Broncos yesterday and was right in it. Brosmer won. There's some horrendous quarterbacks out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
And their teams they were competitive yesterday.
Well, speaking of which, I don't want to call him a horrendous quarterback because he's had like 2 or 3 starts in his career, but Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, some stuff I want to talk about this offense and him in specifically.
Let's do it. Where you at on him? Because while he is, again, still very wet behind the ears of in his NFL career, while he's just a 5th-round draft pick rookie, everybody knows Shedeur. Everybody has an opinion on Shedeur. Everyone's going to be, Steelers fans that maybe have only seen him on a couple highlights and things like that this year, I'm sure, or at least intrigued to watch him play on Sunday.
Sure.
What do you make of the young lightning rod rookie quarterback in the small-ish sample size that we've seen so far?
Yeah, and some of this goes back to his draft evaluation, of course. You have an opinion on these dudes before you even see him in the NFL. He's not for me, and it's very little, as you mentioned. But like Shuck, on the other hand, I think he's convincing the Saints to at least give me another year. I can't imagine the Browns think Shedeur deserves another year,
especially when they're gonna have 2 first-round picks.
I don't know what they'll do there, but I doubt they're looking at it like, oh, he's shown enough that maybe he's the guy. I think he's shown enough that maybe he's a backup, just like Gabriel. But they're worth the bites in the apple. I'm not trying to crush the guy. He's accurate, more so in college than here, but he does throw the ball pretty well. He doesn't really have any traits that jump out. Like, it's harsh to say, but if his last name was Uhler or Williamson, I really think everyone would have thought he was a 5th or 6th round pick.
Sure.
Really. He's not a great athlete. By no means is he like his dad.
I think some people think that because of his dad, and he's got to be a great athlete. He's not.
I don't think they'll spy him, or
even back when he was at Colorado, he wasn't using athleticism just to beat and wow teams. No. It wasn't Johnny Manziel, running around and beating you with his legs type.
And I think he thinks he's a better athlete because, kind of like Caleb Williams used to be, where he'd hold the ball forever, loves taking sacks.
Loves to take sacks.
Sanders holds the ball forever. And he does things like he's in high school and he is the best athlete, where he'll run backwards and doesn't step up, and his pocket movement's gotten a little better, but it used to be horrendous. Now it's just bad. He doesn't. I love how Greg Cosell talks about it. Like, Dan Marino is one of the best ever. Brady, Manning. These guys can't even run. But they were so good within the confines of a boxing ring of quick step here, here, ball comes out.
Make you miss in a phone booth.
Absolutely. Or just step up or know where the rush is coming from.
Get myself an extra half second.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just knowledge. Even like Rivers is still doing it a little bit with the Colts. Like, I know this corner pressure. I know the danger zone.
We see it with Rodgers.
Rodgers is great at it.
Seen it with Flacco at times this season.
Yeah, but like Marino, even when he couldn't move at all, was still
Matthew Stafford does this incredibly well.
Yes. And Sanders is terrible at it. And he's gotten a little better, but he's terrible at it. So here's one thing I've really noticed with the Browns, and I would say the Bills games are real good examples. Stefanski is a great offensive mind. I'm very impressed with him. I think he's a so-so head coach, but it's also not the easiest place to actually excel. But when they, early in the game, and I don't know if their plays are scripted, but they're definitely still on the game plan, doing stuff they practiced all week, maybe play sequencing was scripted, etc. But it's almost like playing Miami, where there's guys everywhere. There's tons of motion, and there's all these window dressing to put to is the term everyone uses. And boy, that part sometimes gets linebackers going the wrong way. And like the Bills really struggled with the stuff the Browns were doing schematically in the first quarter.
Okay.
They're running the wrong way. They're misreading things. All basically because of coaching. Fannon's lined up in weird spots. And why is he coming at me this way? And route combinations. But then that stuff inevitably always wears out.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
By the second half, they've got a beat on it.
And it turns into a drop-back passing game. And that's when Sanders is a real problem, especially behind this line. It's not all his fault. He's not throwing to Jerry Rice with Anthony Munoz protecting him either.
Sure.
But when you get him out of the scripted stuff, like it wouldn't shock me if they went down first drive and they scored on the Steelers. I'm like, it wouldn't be great, but it'd be like our fans are all going crazy. What are they doing? Fire everybody. But early in games they're okay, and then people catch up,
Isn't that what happened when the Steelers and the Browns played earlier this season? Didn't the Browns score on their first drive or very early? If it wasn't their first drive, it was one of their first drives. Or no, because they only scored 9 points in that game. No, sorry, they had a field goal. Okay, so that's what it was. But yeah, you are. Let me see here. No, it wasn't until the second quarter when they scored their first points.
But like they walked right down on the Bills and scored. So. They're well coached.
Sure,
I mean, they're professionals too, guys. You know what I mean?
They spend all week practicing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's one defensive note I found yesterday that I didn't put in the stat pack, but I thought was noteworthy. So the 3 games that the Browns defense has played their most base defense, four defensive backs on the field. There's 3 games that are way higher than the rest of the season. The last 2 weeks. And the Steeler game. But I don't think the Steelers will be able to get them out of it. Because if you don't have Austin, you don't have Metcalf, I'm not just throwing out receivers just to get them out of their comfort zone.
Right. In the last 2 weeks, they played the Bills, who don't have, wide receivers that scare you.
Right. They're running teams.
Do you know who the other opponent was?
Who did they
find
play?
it here in a quick second. But that makes sense to me.
I should know that, but Christmas has my mind.
Has us all out of whack.
Lose to?
Chicago. And so at
Another
Chicago,
running team, but
and then Buffalo.
Yeah.
Chicago obviously has wide receivers that can scare you, but a running team, and then the Bills.
But I would expect to see a lot of base personnel.
Yes.
Because, they obviously schemed it for the Steelers earlier in the season, and now they're leaning that way heavier than ever, even though they were big on it to begin with. And now the Steelers won't be able to get them out of it.
And you're down your number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
And sounds like your number 2 in Calvin Austin III as well.
And I'm not just putting receivers out there for the heck of it and taking good players off, you know what I mean?
I don't need to go 11 personnel just because, and have it would probably be Thielen, MVS, and Roman Wilson.
I'm guessing, or Skoranek, or Miller,
yeah, and then all of a sudden it feels like you're not playing to your strengths.
Fryer moves on the bench, and
stick with the tight ends, stick with Gainwell. Heavy. Oh, we got to wait and see what Jaylen Warren's status is.
That's another thing I'm thinking about too. Is I bet. I have not been to practice. No one's told me this. I hope I'm not divulging secrets, because if I am, I don't know the secret. No one told me the secret. But I would expect to see Warren and Gainwell on the field together a little bit.
Ooh.
And Gainwell just basically acting as a wide receiver. So another thing I dug up since we talked was Gainwell has lined up in a non-traditional running back spot, slot, wide, etc., basically as much as any as any running back in the league. Might see a little bit of both in this one, and just make him kind of a slot receiver. And we saw him, Rodgers. Run
and go route.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And you and I have been talking about since Latrobe in July how he's got the route running capabilities and the skill set.
That might be a wrinkle.
Interesting.
Without Metcalf.
If anyone on the South Side hears this and we are divulging secrets, just strike this from the record. Play the emergency alert.
I haven't been to practice. I don't know that.
And block this out.
But there has been snaps this year they've been on the field together.
Yes.
Too. They both played 51% of the snaps last week. They had to have overlapped.
There's not 102. You tell me there's not 102% of the snaps to go around. You and I can do the math on that one.
Yeah.
Let's take a look around the league. Week 17 slate when we return. And then obviously we'll close down at the end of the hour with our final thoughts and predictions for the Steelers and Browns on Sunday. So plenty to get to before we get up out of here. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Week 17 across the National Football League. I mean, it's a week-to-week thing here, Matt, but that still is wild to say out loud. Always happens quickly. Penultimate week of the NFL regular season. And, just about 2 weeks from now, we'll be getting ready for the wild card round of the playoffs across the NFL. It's staring down a new year in the process. Matt, we kind of, but not really. Before we go across the weekend slate of games, because we do have 2 games Saturday and then a full day Sunday, was there
Saturday
anything?
games are good.
The Saturday games are very good.
Yeah.
Yesterday's games were not so good.
No.
I just didn't know because we haven't really talked. I mean, we kind of mentioned the Broncos and kind of mentioned the Lions.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Was there anything specific from yesterday that you wanted to discuss that you felt was worthy of conversation?
I got a lot of texts from my buddies, boy, the Steeler win doesn't look as good now because the Lions lost, to Brosmer. I'm like, I didn't see it that way. They lost a turnover battle 6-0.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to win in this league very often, especially against a Flores defense when you turn the ball over 6 times and don't get any yourself.
Yes.
Now, I think the Lions are not the juggernaut maybe I thought they were, especially on the offensive line and the running game. I think that's safe to say. But my biggest takeaway from yesterday was we sell these teams short when you preview teams. Like, man, the Chiefs have nothing to play for. Why would Kelsey and Jones play? These guys are proud on national TV on Christmas. Washington had nothing to play for. Minnesota had nothing to play for. They're highly competitive games.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's back to the Moat stuff about, like, what's a blowout? Or, Merrill always talking about how don't underestimate
an embarrassed professional.
Yeah. I mean, like, these guys play hard, and the Browns can beat the Steelers is what I'm telling you, folks.
Totally.
Yeah.
There are certainly instances like Max Starks has told this story before about how there was a couple times in his career, it'd be the end of the season, they'd be playing some Cancun ready team who's 4-11, and the one of their defensive ends comes up to me during warmups and is like, "Hey Max, big dog, like let's go easy today, all right? Me and you, like let's take it easy on each other." But I think that's the exception to the rule. I think in large part these guys, they didn't make it to this level, the 1% of the 1%, by taking games off, taking snaps off, taking practices off.
I mean,
you just don't. That intensity and that mindset doesn't translate to the NFL.
I bet 30 or 40% of the players in every game, contracts are expiring after this year, and they're going to be on free agents. Like you're putting it on tape, and every team that's going to sign you or decide not to knows these things. Like tanking to me is benching Brock Bowers. It's not like Giants, Raiders. Who knows what's going to happen there? It's not the players are like, let's just play patty cake today.
Let's lose so we can draft Tua this offseason.
Like this was terrible. It bothered me to no end. But when I was with the Browns, we were horrible. But two of our best players, which says a lot of how bad we were. Courtney Brown was the first overall pick.
Good player.
He was a good player. He didn't live up to he wasn't Bruce Smith, his first overall pick, but he was good. And Ross Verba was the left tackle, who was our best offensive lineman, which our line was so bad. But those two would take it so easy on each other every practice. They'd always line up against each other like it was a big heavyweight fight, and they would play patty cake the whole time. And everyone on the team sees it. And that wasn't how they were on game day, but like that's not how you can't do that in this game.
No, that sets the tone for everybody.
Too.
Yeah, as opposed to, I mean, I still remember my first training camp with the Steelers 2018 when it was like they should have charged people money. You should have had to pay admission to show up in Latrobe and watch Antonio Brown and Joe Hayden work against each other for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I
those
remember
guys
when they
were
drafted Artie Burns in the first round. Like, you got AB all day. Like, wow.
Yes. And AB practicing like his literal life depended upon every snap, every rep.
Yes.
And you
wonder
how
that guy.
You wonder how that guy ends up being so good.
Yes. He was the hardest working guy in the field every practice.
Matt, let's get into this weekend slate of games here. Beginning Saturday at 4:30 at beautiful, gorgeous SoFi Stadium in Southern California, where the Chargers are a 1.5 favorite over the Texans, and one that, Matt, both of these teams are going to the playoffs, but has a lot of seeding and division implications on the line here.
It does, so it matters. I sell the Chargers short every week, and I'm going to sell them short again, especially against this D-line and this pass rush.
I feel like it has to finally jump up and bite the Chargers this week. They've gotten away with it with that offensive line so often.
Often. And I don't expect it to be a high-scoring game, but I think Houston's better. I don't consider that any kind of home field advantage. I'm shocked they're getting points.
Only game this week that has a lower over and under is in Cleveland on Sunday between the Steelers and the Browns. Yep.
Okay.
They're like Packers-Ravens has the same over-under as Texans-Chargers, but there's only one lower, and that's the Steelers and the Browns. It's just 39.5 points is the over-under.
Wow.
Chargers favored by 1.5. I'll take Houston plus 1.5.
Yeah, I think they're better.
I do too.
Yeah.
And again, I think you've been real guilty of this, but I have been too. Just kind of like, this is the week that it blows up on the Chargers, and all
every
they
week
keep
I
doing,
say it.
all
Man,
they keep doing is winning games.
Win, yeah.
And I don't think it's going to blow up on them. I don't think that Houston's going to go there and win by 21.
No.
But if you're giving me the Texans in points, and what you and I have discussed is a beautiful stadium, but not really a hostile environment there, could be like a bowl game.
Okay.
I'll take the Texans plus 1.5.
Yep. Me too.
And then Saturday night, one that all of Steeler Nation will be watching, Matt, that is a little different now with that Lions loss yesterday.
We don't quite know who's playing and who isn't. And
the Packers have now, for those that really weren't paying attention, maybe you were doing the family thing and actually gathering on Christmas instead of just watching football. Ravens, Packers, we all kind of thought, that was Ravens lose, they're out. Packers win, the Steelers are in, and that's still the case. But Green Bay has now clinched a playoff spot in their own right due to that Lions loss yesterday. Tell TV to leave you alone and stop worrying about your hair, okay?
Something's going on with my hair.
You got like a little tiny piece sticking up here. It's fine.
Probably from these guys from before.
He's distracting you over there, all right?
Baldy over there is texting me.
Tell our video producer to save it for the break, all right?
I'm like my kids. I struck my hair on my phone.
He doesn't have any hair to worry about. I'm sorry, TV. I'm sorry. That was rude. I apologize.
You knew what was going on there, right?
Packers.
I'm like, is it okay? How do I look?
Packers have now clinched a playoff spot. They could still fight for a division title, but it's very unlikely. They would need a ton of help. They would need a lot of things to go their way and to go wrong for Chicago. But they're also pretty banged up. Jordan Love is questionable. Malik Willis is questionable.
And they don't need it as much now. They're still 4.5-point favorites because Lamar is questionable. There's just so much unknown about this game. Who's at quarterback for both teams? How in tune is Green Bay to really, go out there and put it all on the line to win when they know they've already secured a playoff spot? I don't know what to think. I don't know either.
But 4.5 is a lot of points. I might take them for Baltimore.
I think this game opened at 2.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that's just Lamar news when he officially was doubtful. But it's gone up and up and up all week from what I understand. I'm going to pick it like it's Huntley versus Willis.
I think that's probably a safe assumption.
And I'll take the Packers in their building. I would hope not from a Steeler perspective, but if I'm the Ravens, I want to give the ball to Henry 1,000,000 times in a row. But the Packers' run defense isn't bad, and Baltimore doesn't do that as much as they should.
They should.
They get away from him too much.
They do. Especially this time of year, like where he's historically one of the best.
Just lean on him, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I wish it was under a field goal, though.
I think I'm taking the points because I just think it'll be close either way.
When it was 2.5, and there was a chance Lamar was playing, and I thought Love was playing, I was like, I like Green Bay. Now I just don't know. And probably when you don't know, you should probably take the points.
I think I'm taking the 4.5 with Baltimore on Saturday night. Although that's just a weird one with the injuries, with the quarterback situation, and with what now is a Green Bay team that, still wants to win and all those things, obviously, but doesn't need to from a playoff perspective. They have clinched due to that Lions loss. On to the Sunday slate here.
What I find interesting, and next week's even more important, well, most years, the order of when the games are played this time of year matters a lot,
Like there's probably some people kicking themselves about this one being on a Saturday when the Lions played Thursday and the Steelers play Sunday.
Right. Like it really influences those two teams a lot.
It does, and they have done a pretty good job, the NFL has, of that shuffling at the end of the year, but you're never going to always...
You're not going to play them all at one
exactly
and
right.
throw away all that TV money.
Exactly right. On to the Sunday slate here, Matt. The highest over-under of the weekend is in Cincinnati.
It has to be Bengals-Cardinals.
Where the Bengals host the Cardinals.
For you guys in your fantasy championship,
start everybody in this
game. Yes.
53.5 is the
wow. I still might go over
the number.
Higgins is playing. I mean,
lowest get-in price of the weekend, just $17
in Arizona.
You can have it in Cincinnati. where it's actually supposed to be 62 degrees and a light rain, so not terrible weather there. The Bengals 7.5-point favorites.
Ooh, I thought it was under 7. Last I saw it was 6.5, I think.
It's moved.
I'll still take the Bengals. I felt good with them over a touchdown.
I think they're going to do what they did to Miami last week.
Yeah, I don't know if Brissett can keep up with Burrow.
They're going to blow out a bad team.
They're going to blow out a bad team. And
I'm not saying
defense.
The Bengals are a good team, but they've got some good pieces, particularly
really good
on
offense still, yeah.
Yes. And I think they'll win by 14 or 20 or something like that. And
I might take the over, though.
I wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't hate it. Titans hosting the Saints in a battle of two teams not playing for much.
I think this is super interesting.
But me too, because it's two teams that have their quarterback and are finding.
This is nothing like Raiders-Giants junk bowl. This is like two fun young teams.
Saints have won a couple games in a row here. Titans are coming off of a win.
Yeah. Both are playing the best of the season with their young quarterbacks.
Which isn't a high bar to clear, but, they're there.
Getting better.
Yes.
Right. Like Tennessee's running on everyone. Shuck's putting up big numbers. Olave's blowing up. Ward looks good. I interrupted you. What's the spread? It's at Tennessee, right?
It's in Nashville, yes, in Tennessee, where New Orleans is a 2.5-point road favorite.
Ooh, I'll take the points.
With Tennessee?
Yeah, at home.
I think I'll lay them with New Orleans.
Okay. I think New Orleans is playing a little better.
I think they're a little better.
They're on a winning streak.
They are on a little bit of a winning streak. I think the Titans are moving in the right direction, but I think the Saints got there a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take New Orleans in a close one. I'll take the 2.5.
I'm actually going to pay a lot of attention to this game.
I think that's a fun one for just kind of eval standpoint.
If I get free time during the week, I might watch you all 22 of both quarterbacks.
And what we had circled a few weeks ago as a massive Week 17 game still means plenty now for Jacksonville, but not as much for the Colts. In Indianapolis, the Jags are 5.5-point favorites at Lucas Oil Stadium.
I just saw when I was getting coffee that Buckner's now out for the year. The wheels are kind of off.
I think so.
And I think Jacksonville's not who I'm betting against right now. They're hot. Lawrence is hot.
The Colts, man, just from 7-1 to 8-7.
Not really all their fault. But.
No, not really all their fault. But I just, man, they pushed all their chips in at the trade deadline. And it's just, I don't think any of us, the whole way were like, this team isn't guaranteed a playoff spot. This team isn't guaranteed. You were saying that when they were like 8-2.
And credit to the Jags, their division's gotten good now. It's the last 10 years have been like the worst division in the league.
Real good. So obviously Houston, they'll be keeping an eye on that one. Jacksonville watching the Texans on Saturday. But I think we'll both lay the points with Jacksonville minus 5.5.
Yeah.
I think they'll win by 10, touchdown 10.
They're rolling.
Something like that. They're rolling, and the Colts just feel like
I think it's over.
All over but the crying. In Miami, where a Dolphins team, the little battle of Florida here, Matt, between the Dolphins and the Bucs, a Bucs team that is kind of desperate for some feel-good to head into this last week against the Panthers. They want to keep pace with the Panthers and all that, and still have week 18 meaningful. The Bucs.
I think if the Panthers win and Bucs lose, it's over. Yeah.
Yep. Now the Panthers host the Seahawks, which is a tough one.
I know. They're a
but
dog
you're
in that
right.
game,
If the Panthers win and the Bucs lose, it's over.
Yeah.
The Bucs are 5.5-point favorites in Miami Gardens against the Dolphins.
I don't like how Tampa's played at all lately.
I don't like where the Dolphins are at either, too.
I know.
Because they're like starting to shut people down and play.
It's kind of like
the
my
young
Chargers
guys.
thing. Every week I keep saying, well, I think the Bucs will get back. Evans is back. Godwin's back. I'm going to do it again. Just like I picked against the Chargers again.
I am too.
Just because I don't like where Miami's at.
I don't like the 5.5, though.
No.
I don't like the
still
5.5.
think Miami can score.
But I think I'm with you. I'm going to err on the side of the Bucs get back as opposed to like Quinn Ewers is going to go out there.
That's the thing, is Ewers is playing too.
I don't see it for the Dolphins. I give them credit because they've had plenty of opportunity this season to roll over and give up. But I think the Bucs will find a way to go in there and not blow them out, but control that game.
Yeah.
What should be a blowout, Matt, is Sunday, 1 o'clock at MetLife Stadium, where the Jets host the Patriots in an AFC East battle.
Yeah.
Patriots looking to stay a leg up on Buffalo, where they are biggest spread of the weekend, Matt, 13.5-point favorites against the Jets.
It's a lot.
That's 2 touchdowns they got to win by.
But I'm going to take New England. I mean, the Jets' D's been really bad. Cook's playing again for a quarterback. I mean, New England needs it, and they're pretty darn good right now.
Perfect on the road this year too. The Patriots they haven't lost a road game.
I mean, I wouldn't truly bet it, but if I had to pick, I'm going to take New England.
Same, but I would stay away from this.
Yeah, it's just a big line.
The Grinch, 39.5-foot pole. I don't want any part of a 13.5-point line.
Yeah.
Even in a game the Patriots could be up. The Patriots could be up 20.
Oh, they could win this game 40-0.
They could.
Yeah.
But they could also be up by 20 points at the end, and the Jets score a garbage time touchdown and backdoor cover by a half point. I don't like it, but I will lay them for New England for the sake of this exercise. We talked about the Panthers in that tough one against Seattle in Charlotte, where the Seahawks have to do that West Coast team playing a 1 o'clock East Coast game, but we know
they're great at it.
They're great at it. Seattle, a 7-point favorite on the road in Charlotte. I might take the points in this one.
It was 7.5 this morning.
Then I would definitely take the points.
And I would definitely take the points. And you beat me to it. So I think they can keep it close. I think Seattle's great, but their offense has taken a small step back. I mean, I thought it was like an A or an A minus. Now it's a B, you know? Mm-hmm. And Carolina, I'm not a Bryce Young fan at all, but he's playing pretty well the last couple of weeks. And Coker and Tet McMillan. And
they can run the ball a little bit.
Yeah, they always run the ball well. When it was 7.5, I was real interested. But I'll still take the points. I'm with you.
Matt, you mentioned it. The first overall pick bowl. Maybe here.
I think it is.
Raiders hosting the Giants at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The Giants 1.5 point. I don't know how the over-under for this is 41.5. It's not even close to the lowest. Raiders, Giants, the battle of 2-win teams. I guess they could tie, but somebody has to win.
Yeah.
Giants haven't won a road game all year, Matt. They are 0-8 on the road.
I know.
Did they get it done in Vegas?
I'm going to say yes. I mean, again, not a hard place to play. Vegas can't have many home wins.
They are 1-6 at home.
There's not a lot of wins between either one of these teams. I think the Giants are just better than the Raiders.
Which is weird because
Raiders weren't bad last week.
I think you're right. I think the Raiders should be much better than the Giants.
Agree.
Again, if you just look at the roster on paper.
Yeah.
They show some signs of life in Houston. They shut down Bowers, which is a massive loss for them.
When they only got a couple good players and you just got rid of one of them. Again,
this is another one I just wouldn't even touch.
No, but it has massive ramifications. I think the loser will end up with the first overall pick.
I might take the Raiders plus 1.5.
Okay, I'm going to take the Giants.
Bills, Eagles, big one, Matt, for seeding purposes. For I think for both of these teams, some momentum, some feel good. Let's go knock off another double-digit win team right before the playoffs. It's in Buffalo at Orchard Park, 4:25 on Sunday. The Eagles on the road. Buffalo a 1.5 slight favorite at home against Philly.
I'm going to take the points.
You're going to take the Eagles plus 1.5?
Yeah. I think it's a close game. I think both Eagles are back to running the ball really well. I mean, it's kind of been unreported. You just look at the offense and be like, oh, it's struggled all year. I think Lane Johnson comes back for this game too. And I trust their defense more than I do Buffalo's. So I think they have as equal chance to win this game as Buffalo. I'll just take the points.
I think the Eagles have a better roster. Certainly have a better roster.
Agreed. Allen's also fighting a foot. He's
Allen's fighting a foot injury. Yeah. I don't know, though, man. There's just something weird. I've hesitated to pick the Eagles the last month or so because they just feel so volatile.
Oh, I think there's some of that. Kind of feels like it might be the Bills' year.
And it kind of feels like, and I know the Josh Allen injury aside, things are coming together for Buffalo at the right time. They have these last 2 weeks at home.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Only home games they're guaranteed left at Orchard Park because remember they're not in first place in the division. They're there'll be a wild card, could end up.
It's the last year playing there too.
So this could be it. This could be the kind of penultimate. They've got the Jets at home next week too to close it down for the official regular season and all that. I think I'm going to take the Bill. I think I'm going to lay the 1.5 with Buffalo. I don't know why. I just feel better about them at this point than I do the Eagles.
I understand that.
Eagles have a better roster.
Yeah.
But
Bills have been pretty consistent.
Bills have been consistent lately. And then, Matt, what is for playoff seeding? Both these teams going to the playoffs, but this could be the most fun game of the weekend from a neutral perspective. Sunday Night Football in Santa Clara. The Niners host the Bears, 11-4 against 11-4.
Yeah.
Some seeding stuff at potential at play here. The Niners, they still have a shot to win that division. Outside,
they could end up with the 1 seed.
They could end up with the 1 seed. Both these teams could still end up with the 1 seed.
Yes. This matters.
This matters for 2 11-4 teams that are going to the playoffs. San Francisco
They could beat twice,
They could. They absolutely could. San Francisco a 3-point favorite at home.
I went to points.
I do too. I'm totally.
Now, this is a little misleading, but San Francisco is not punted in December, and it's Christmas.
Nuh-uh.
They had a bye, though. But still,
they did have a bye.
They've gone two straight games.
That's an impressive stat.
Their offense is on fire. I mean, they score points every time they get the ball, and it feels that way. I mean, whether they're running, passing, whatever. I think Kittle's going to play, but I still look at their defense and don't trust it. San Francisco's.
So banged up.
And I don't love the Bears either defensively, but it's better than where San Fran's is at. And I think Chicago can hang with this team. I mean, if we were to power rank these teams, they'd probably be right next to each other.
Yeah, both in the top 7 or 8.
Yeah. So I'll take the points. Caleb Williams is a legit dude, man.
Cheap or most expensive, pardon me. He is, by the way. Seats. Absolutely. Most expensive get-in price of the weekend.
Things are pricey in San Fran, too.
I've heard. Apparently, Brock Purdy had to live in a van down by the river when he was still on his rookie contract because that's how expensive housing is out there. $346 to sit in the nosebleeds.
Wow.
Woo! With fees and everything, you're pushing $400 by that point.
That's Sunday night, right?
That's Sunday night, yes. Which I should be back off the buses and all that stuff in time to watch it. Bills Eagles also, Matt, $285 cheapest get-in ticket there, and
adds up.
Again, kind of the end of Orchard Park and a big one between two good teams. Bears Niners second highest over/under of the weekend, just a point lower than that Cardinals Bengals game, 52.5. I'm with you. I'll take the Bears +3. You gonna give me the Bears plus a field goal? I'll take the Bears plus a field goal.
I might do that against anybody that they're playing right now.
Yeah,
they're a good football team.
Of course, we'll talk about Monday's Falcons-Rams game when we're back here on Monday. But that means we have to get to our final break. Return on the other side. Final thoughts and predictions for Steelers-Browns before we get up out of here. We'll do that when we return. Cross the T's, dot the I's here on The Drive on this Friday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Down the home stretch here on a Friday, we've got to predict the Steelers and the Browns before we get out of here. We've also got an injury report to update you on. But I did want to make sure to mention on today's show, Matt, saving the best for last type here.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool, We do this from time to time. We kind of highlight some of the stuff that maybe the Steelers video department content team.
Yeah, they do great work, man.
They do awesome stuff. Like we mentioned one of these when the Steelers went to Dublin. The Ambassador, a Steelers story, The Ambassador, just kind of on the history of the Rooney family and Ireland and the relationship and how much that all meant to the Steelers. More kind of in-depth document-style history features.
Yeah.
And they just released one today that you can watch on YouTube. You can watch on Steelers.com called A Steelers Story, The Terrible Towel.
I'm going to tonight for sure.
Oh, you and me both. Of course, highlighting the day that it all began, December 27th, 1975, when the Terrible Towel, of course, conducted and instructed by Myron Cope, became Matt. Now, 50 years later, arguably the single most iconic kind of sports fan item.
Yeah,
I think
it probably is.
It's on that short list. The only other thing that even comes to my mind is the Packers cheesehead, but that doesn't have nearly the history of the Terrible Towel.
Yeah.
I love how it just started as a yellow dish rag and then evolved into something official. So really cool history, 50-year anniversary. Big shout out to Nate Hogan and everybody that had a part in that. But A Steelers Story, The Terrible Towel, now streaming available.
I'm definitely checking it out.
Steelers.com, YouTube, all those places. Pretty cool stuff that the team puts together as always. Matt, quickly before we give our predictions and get up out of here, we have our final practice participation injury report for the Steelers. You can rule out Calvin Austin, Brandon Echols, James Pierre, and TJ Watt.
Who? That's not exactly what you wanted to hear.
I think TJ we all assumed, and Calvin Austin as well. But, man,
right.
Echols and Pierre both being out. Little thin in the secondary again, especially when you consider Jalen Ramsey is listed as questionable with that illness.
I assume he'll play a lot more slot.
Would have to.
Yeah.
And Isaac Seumalo questionable with his triceps.
The other Porter might get a helmet again. Corner situation's a little dire.
So,
but But again, this is not the worst
concerning.
challenge for that.
It's concerning. So good news for Herbig, good news for Jalen Warren.
Yeah. Siamalu.
Well, he's listed as questionable.
Okay, at least he's not ruled out.
But he's not ruled out.
I'm putting good news for anybody that's not ruled out.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're playing, but right.
So Calvin Austin, Brandon Eccles, Pierre, and Watt all ruled out. Sayamalu and Jalen Ramsey will be game time decisions. That's the latest on the injury front for your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Not great, but
not
probably,
great. Yeah. Not the end of the world, but but not great. Matt, Sunday in Cleveland, 1:00 there at Huntington Bank Field. The Browns host the Steelers, where the Steelers are 3-point road favorites. Lowest over-under of the week, just 34.5.
You want to go first? It's a tough one to predict. I mean, you don't really even know who's playing and the motivation and all that stuff.
I'm going to go 21-13 Steelers.
Okay.
Although, for those who know, I'll go like 21-13 Browns, just to keep up with the tradition of the Steelers winning when I pick against them. But no, I'm kidding. 21-13 Steelers.
So I think the Ravens lose the night before. Steelers still basically play their guys, but maybe in the fourth quarter you might see a Rudolph or something like that.
Or Jalen Ramsey if you're still dealing with the sniffles a little too
like
much.
That. Or Pete comes in for Siamalu or something like that. I just don't know where the points are coming from the Browns. So I think I got the Steelers 17-9.
Okay.
I do expect low scoring.
You're way under on the over-under.
I could see our Monday going, that wasn't the prettiest, but let's just focus on the results as opposed to play after play that didn't go so great. I think the Browns D's really good.
Fine with me.
Yeah, right. If Monday, if they're the AFC North champs, that's all I care about. However you get there.
If I'm looking into my crystal ball, Monday they're AFC North champs. It was a little bit of a boring game to dissect and break down, but
so be it.
We're going to the playoffs. We're hosting a playoff game.
Yeah.
And we've got a week to get right in the process from a health standpoint too.
Yeah, that's the goal here. And no new injuries.
And no new injuries, of course. That'll do it for us this week. Thanks to everybody for rocking and rolling with us. Thanks to Missi Matthews for joining us today. Hopefully everybody out there enjoying your Christmas, your holiday, safe travels if you're going to and far this weekend from your holiday travels. And as always, win, lose, or draw, we'll be back on Monday to break it all down for you. Big thanks to TV, Mr. Tyler V., our video guy, for keeping us crisp on YouTube and for being Matt's personal hairstylist here in the second hour of the show as well. For Matt Williamson, I am Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you Monday. You know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.